Alright, let's just test the sound levels. Bear with me a second. How's that coming through? Alright, let's just test the sound levels. Perfect. Right. So, my youngest brother is, I think he's 13, 12, 13, one of the two. It's terrible, isn't it? Introduced me to this game when I went over to his house to visit just prior to Christmas to see family, and he has the Xbox One version, which was a lot of fun. But I am not one for console controllers. I'm not very good with console controls. So I figured when I got home, I would buy the game on Steam and give it a try. Now, currently, Subnautica is available on Steam. Let me just quickly check what the current price of this is. It's $15.59, so it's actually cheaper than when I bought it. So it's currently on sale by the looks of it. And I have to say, this is a ridiculously fun game. Yeah, it's on 20% discount. Now, it is, just so you're aware, obviously early access. It's still in development. It's still being worked on. But it is a ridiculous amount of fun in development. Sorry about that. So I have 3 games running at the moment. My daughters are running creative games because I let them sit at my desk and mess with my computer. I am running a survival game. So I thought what I'd do for Joseph, seeing as he got me into this, and I have to say I'm really enjoying myself. I do a quick tour of my Subnautica my survival build, so he can have a look at what I'm up to. So I'm going to upload this to YouTube and fire him the link later. So Joseph, this is for you, and just so you can see there, look, yes, it is the survival save that I'm loading. I haven't tried hardcore, though to be fair, I haven't died yet, so I probably could have got away with a hardcore save. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes to load up the actual game in progress. There's a lot of work still to be done on this title. There's some weird pop-in errors when you're traveling large distances between chunks, I guess you would call it. And there is some clipping issues with the buildings you can construct, especially the smaller fish tend to clip through things, which is quite funny. But all in all, this is a lot of fun. Now, for those of you who don't mind a little bit of backstory, the ship on screen now is the Aurora. It has crashed. You evacuate in an escape pod, and you find yourself in that escape pod with nothing but a fire extinguisher and a clever little 3D printer on which you produce all of your tools and gadgets that you need to survive. You have, if you play on survival mode, you have to manage health, hunger, and hydration, because this is an ocean planet, which basically means it's salt water. So you can't drink the water around you, and you have to find a reliable food source, and you have to find a reliable water source before anything else. So that's kind of the situation you're thrown into. There is basically ocean everywhere. There are some spots of surface land, but they're quite a ways away from your starting location. So they take some. Oh,
Oxygen production offline.
it always does this when you load in, because it spawns in the vehicles and buildings you've manufactured, and then it sort of activates them and powers them up as it loads the game. So you always get this message saying that everything is offline. You're going to die because there is no air. So give it a minute to wake itself up, and we should have oxygen. Bit of a load time on this because, as I say, it's still in development. There is a lot going on in the background. There we are. So this is me aboard the Cyclops. Where the devil am I? Oh, I'm at my sparse reef base. Okay. Each of the areas in the game is defined by its biome. In this instance, the place I'm at is called Sparse Reef because it's sparsely populated. There isn't a lot there, and it's a reef apparently, although it doesn't actually look anything like a reef because there is no coral anywhere. Right. I'm not going to go into too much detail about what I'm doing now, but first things first, we're going to have a look at the Sparse Reef base. So this is the Cyclops is a 3-man submarine apparently that you end up controlling by yourself, which is hilarious. So Joe, my little base down here. There we go. That's what I wanted. This is literally just a way station that I built at a wreck I found, and it just so happens to be at the Sparse Reef. Here's the wreck. I have more or less explored this wreck. I'm fairly certain I found everything that it has to offer, including cutting through that door with a laser tool. I found some bits and bobs in here. Some of these wrecks are massive, and you can quite easily get lost inside them, which is terrifying. If you've ever had an anxiety over drowning, or fear of the dark, this game manages to trigger all of them at once, including the absolutely terrifying fear of being eaten by large monsters, because there are very large creatures in this game that will eat you. So exploring the wrecks gives you access to various items that you might not have access to because you're the survivor of a massive shipwreck. So this is the little base that I've built here. Nothing spectacular, but it does the job. What I've found, Joe, if you're actually watching this, is that it's a good idea to build small bases here and there. All you really need, you don't need the scanning room or even the moon pool, but what you do need is an adequate power supply and battery recharging. Most essential. Thank you. So I have a cell charger here that charges the power cells that run the large vehicles. I also, for some reason, have lots of cured Reginalds. I don't remember doing that, but fine. And a battery charger to keep your individual pieces of equipment up and running. So all of these items, as you can see, if you can just make that out in the middle at the bottom there, have a power rating. Now you can swap out batteries by clicking the R key and then selecting a fresh battery. Oops, there we are. And once you've done that, you can put those partially drained batteries to charge in the charger. Take out the full one. There they are. That is such a nice little detail. That's really, really good. So yeah, you don't actually need a base this complicated as a way station. All you really need is a power source, which in this case is this bioreactor here, and some battery chargers, so that wherever you end up going, you can always drop your cells to charge them up. So I've built a scanner room here, full upgrades for range. That's why the map is so large, and as you can see, it maps centered on the base, which are those two. It's difficult to make out because the map is so big. Those two light blue dots there are this base. Those two light dots there are another base, which I have further over in that direction. And if you look up there, we have the floating islands with a base. There we are, floating islands with a base actually on land, which I'll go and show you in a minute. So yeah, I've explored a good chunk of this area. That's why I have a base out there. That's what I believe that one is Anchor Base, which is over in that direction. Yeah. I haven't been down into all these caves and canyons yet, but that's the intention. And I haven't been out all the way to the Anchor Base canyons and areas because there are some huge, huge creatures living in that area, which are frankly terrifying. So that's Sparse Reef Base. Nothing too exciting there. Like I said, just a simple bioreactor which churns over using the various plants and things that I grow at the base. I think these produce a small seed. No, they produce a large seed. Damn. Oops. Oh, never mind. Just drop that back in. I need something that produces. Oh, I'll just stick one of the. I'll just grab a fish. Come here, you. Congratulations. You are going to be turned into power. So grab an item. Anything that's alive, plant or animal. Stick it in the bioreactor, and hey presto, it produces power. Fantastic, right? Now, when you are in a base that is relatively close to the surface, it's obviously nighttime at the moment. Stick a solar panel on, because even if you only get a little bit of daylight, it's enough to produce power to keep the basics of the base running, even if the bioreactor goes offline. So I'm just going to move it up here because I don't know if proximity to the surface gives you better light levels, but that would make sense. So I'm going to assume that is the case and move it to the top of the base. Right. There we are. So there we are, just a simple little habitat that does nothing but produce a little bit of food for me in case of emergencies, which is why I have the melons in this tub, and power. And upstairs is basically more crops, because you can never run out of power if you have some self-sustaining crops growing. So that's Sparse Reef Base, Joe. I hope you like it. I'm going to grab one of these batteries. Always have two of each, I say. And we'll go back up to the Cyclops. There we go.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
There we are. So back aboard the Cyclops, we are now going to head over to the surface base that I built, just to show you the silliness I've been up to on the floating island. I do not know a single person who pilots the Cyclops from the cockpit. Or at least I haven't seen anybody do it yet. Almost everyone I've seen play this game pilots the Cyclops from the external cameras. And here it is. The floating island at which I have built a small base. Again, this is just a simple outpost to give me a power charging station, and food, and somewhere to lay my hat when I need to park the ship. There is a bug at the moment with the Cyclops. If a floater gets attached to it, the ship will gradually rise to the surface, which makes perfect sense. The floaters do that. They take things to the surface, right? But even if there is no floater attached to it, if a floater has ever been attached to it, that Cyclops seems to suffer from a small amount of buoyancy from then on. So I find that sometimes when I'm down deep, my Cyclops will start to drift off without me, which is terrifying. Having your Cyclops just disappear. So this is just an island you discover as you play through the game. There's some bits and pieces for you to explore. I'm not going to go into details on that. So again, just a power charging point, a fabricator, a bed in this case so I can switch it from daytime to nighttime. Another, again, a scanner, because I love these things. They're so handy, and you can see the bases that we just came from is down there. This is the island base itself. There probably isn't any need to fully upgrade this one because the island isn't very large, but I have a full detailed scan of the island there, which I need to explore, still need to explore a lot of the island, so I'm going to get to that at some point. I had to put in a roof hatch to get out here and actually put the solar cells on the roof. But the good thing about being on the surface is you basically don't need any of the other power systems, because you almost always have enough power. And as long as, even if I'm running the scanner, which is a heavy energy using device, by the way, my power levels barely move because I've got so much energy coming from sunlight. Come on, you said you could locate magnetite. Give it a second. No, there's none there. Okay, never mind. Might be able to spot a reef back. They should be just floating in the water. Yeah, there's a reef back. So you can see there the scanner's picked up a reef back in the distance. But we're not going to go play with the reef back. So there we go. Again, just a small, simple outpost that provides power and food. And I built a bed because I had the spare materials. And handily, it provides, obviously, a starting point, a base of operations if you need to explore the local area, which in this case is the island. Don't like dropping below 50% hydration. There we go. Obviously, the cameras on the scanner room are no good. I could have built this down so it was underwater, so I could use the cameras, but I'm lazy. So there we are. That is my current simple mountain base. I haven't even bothered fitting a bioreactor there because it gets so much power from the sun that it doesn't need it. Okay, so next we are going back to... where's it gone? There it is, cave base. So the map tends to get a bit scrappy, but as you can see, there's lots of beacons. Places I've explored, you just end up with beacons everywhere. That's just the way it is because you obviously need to know what you're doing. So the map system does not automatically add beacons, so you need to put beacons down yourself if you want to track a location in the game world. I've lost a couple of locations because I forgot to do this. So I actually have to go out and re-explore a couple of places because I've lost them. Whee! Right. Back on the cameras. Goodbye, floating island. There's the popping glitches I was talking about. The draw distances seems to be very weird. So while the island has phased out, a lot of the constructed items are still showing, which is a really odd bug. And as you can see there, anchor base popping into view way sooner than it should. Again, that's a draw distance issue as far as I can tell. And then it fades out as I get closer and the terrain renders. So I'm assuming at some point they will fix it so that the terrain renders before the constructed items, and that whole problem will disappear. So we'll just keep trundling along and hit this cliff face because I'm not paying attention. If you do decide to play this game, one small tip: the writhing reed that you can find very easily, when they're fully grown, they give off a very bright yellow light. If you build a planter and plant them in places, they work excellently as waypoints and torches because they glow really brightly and you can't miss them. So I have another small base over here, which is my entrance to another biome. We're not going to go that way because there's some story spoilers linked to that biome, so we're not going over there. But I have a seamoth parked over there that I use for deep sea exploration. There's a stalker swimming around. Now this is always fun because it gets very shallow very quickly. So there's a peeper, best fish. Basically 90% eyeball. I love that little fish. But yeah, you can see there's some graphical artifacts, and you get these weird. That's an object being drawn in the distance, but it's behind the terrain. That is another object in the distance over there that's being drawn in before the terrain is fully rendered. So there are some sort of terrain draw glitches that they need to address. But I think it's mostly down to optimization. The game is still in early release, so they're still tweaking a lot of this stuff. And obviously it has a lot to do with your system's ability to push graphics. So lots of fauna and flora float. Don't ram. You're gonna. No? Okay, good. The reason I'm taking this ever so slightly wiggly line is that the terrain around here gets very shallow, a bit too shallow for the Cyclops. But anywhere that you see this green green kelp-like plant, the water is generally deeper. I think it's called do you know what? I can't remember what it's called now. We'll check it when we get back to base. Yeah, we'll go around that piece of rock. Oh, hit something, probably a fish. One of the creepiest things about this game is when you're like 600 or 700 meters down and it's pitch black and you can't see a damn thing, so you're literally just navigating blind, and you hear these thumps and creaks, and it's fish swimming into the Cyclops and bouncing off the Cyclops. It's bloody nerve-wracking because it just seems to trigger every anxiety you have about... You hear it, clang, clang, clang. It literally just triggers every anxiety you can possibly have. You know, you're underwater in a fragile tin can, surrounded by the dark, and you know there are. I've already met something. One of the large creatures that was frankly terrifying, and it lives in the darkest zone, which is, you know, even more fun. So thanks for that, developers of Subnautica, for triggering every phobia I have in a single game. So we're coming up on my main bit. This is the first place I built after I left the life pod behind. See, I'm bouncing off fish left, right, and centre. There we go. Right, we'll just leave her floating there. You cannot currently dock the Cyclops at any of your actual buildings. Yeah, I killed the fish. Apparently that is a feature they are adding in an update. So we'll power off for now. And here we are at our base of operations. So we're going to take out my other little toy. Now this one is a lot of fun. The Sea Moth is a small one-person submarine that feels very soft and fragile. The Prawn Suit, which is this glorious thing, is a walking death machine. I love it. It makes you feel like an absolute tyrant. I have killed so many things in this. And yes, you can paint all of the vessels in the game in custom colors. Hence why the Ulysses is bright red. And hence why my prawn suit, which is called Charlie, is also bright red, because I have a matching theme thing going on. Yeah, so the prawn suit is hilarious. It's basically a walking armored suit, and it's tough as old nails, and it's great for collecting resources and exploring deep zones. The only problem with it is it's kind of stuck to the seabed. You do have thrusters, which you'll have seen me use there to jump on top of the habitat, but they are limited in power, so you're not going to fall down a 900-meter crevasse and climb your way out. You know, you fall into something deep like that, you're stuck. Alright, so this is my primary base. I usually enter from this moon pool because I'm usually coming aboard with the prawn suit. So, yeah, nothing too exciting. It's a vehicle maintenance bay with this here allows you to build modules for your various vehicles, which is rather handy. Yes, you can also build torpedo arms and drill arms and whatnot for the prawn suit. You can upgrade it with new equipment as you go along. There's quite a lot of stuff you can build. This is my primary chamber, is the power chamber. So this multi-purpose rooms, they stack on top of each other, and you put a ladder in between each level so you can travel up and down. But this is basically my power production area. Again, bioreactors, because I haven't built a nuclear reactor yet. Middle chamber is actually my desalination plant for producing clean, healthy water. Uses a lot of power. Plan ahead. You need a lot of power to run that thing. And here's my second bioreactor. The base is also studded with solar cells on the roof because it's quite close to the surface, so it gets a lot of daylight. So yeah, you just drop your organic material in there and it produces power. In this case, I have a bank of lockers here that I just fill with random biological material. In this case, a crab squid and a crash fish. Now, how, you may ask, did I manage to get hold of said creature alive, especially as the bloody crab squid is one of the nastiest monsters in the game? I raised them in a fish tank, which I will show you shortly. So, lots of planters full of various plants that I actually no longer need. This is one of the first land trees I came across that produced decent food and water. And because it constantly grows, you can hack some chunks off it and maintain your thirst and hunger just using this tree, which is handy. Again, another scanning room fully upgraded, and you can see the cave system I built my base on is directly underneath me. And there's another cave system over that way, which I've explored and is basically a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere. This is a relatively safe area. There's no large creatures in this zone. So I built myself a decent base, because if you build a base near the larger creatures, they can and will damage it, which is hilarious, because if they cause enough damage, you start to get cracks and splits in the side of the base and the whole thing floods, which is just like, oh, fantastic. Now I have to run around and repair everything. Here is my second moon pool with the sea moth, one of my two sea moths. And you may notice some odd objects over here. Now again, there is a storyline to this game. It's not entirely survival. There is a narrative, and these objects come from various places that you find as you progress that narrative. I'm not going to say anything else. So there's some posters on the wall, prawn suit posters, and a play on the stressed cat. Observation dome doesn't really do much, just gives you a nice uninterrupted view of the sea around you. This is more fun to put in a base that's deep underwater in a weird biome, because it can give you a nice view of the spooky world around you. And over here is my generic fish tank, which I use for storing just some random fish. See, the peeper, it looks like it's 90% eyeball, right? But look at this little guy. Where is he? There he is. The eye. He's literally all eye. He is almost entirely eyeball. He's such a weird looking fish. Right. So this is just, like I said, just a secondary moon pool. It just stores random bits and pieces. My radiation suit is in here. I don't need that at this stage of the game anymore, but you don't want to throw it away. First aid production. Obviously medical kits come in handy, but once you've got one of these built, it kind of overloads you with first aid kits. Storage for raw minerals and materials. Now, where did that crab squid come from? It came from over here. This, oh, I got a snake. Fantastic. This is the alien containment unit, and it allows you to store fish and hatch eggs. Now, I've hatched a couple of eggs here, and as you can see, we've got a sea jelly and a crab snake. And a load of Reginalds. I breed Reginalds because they are the single best food fish in the game that I've found so far, right? So the Reginald is 44 food cured, and cooked it's something like 30, and it gives you water as well. So well handy to have lots of Reginalds. The crab snake, better take one out because I just screwed with the numbers. The crab snake is kind of cool. I've hatched that, so we're going to scan him. Hatched him from a random egg, if the Reginalds get out of the way. Thank you, indigenous life form crab snake. There we are. Cool. I should really give him a mushroom to hide in, but I don't think I have any of those mushrooms here. So later on, when I'm playing, I will go get him a mushroom to hide in. So yeah, you can hatch eggs in here. So I have a selection of fish eggs. Crash fish, spade fish, not sure what that is, bone shark, unidentified again. Until a creature actually hatches from the egg, you don't know what that egg is. So I have some unidentified creature eggs there, another one there. We'll put the little one in. And obviously the game has a full sort of data tracking system that keeps track of everything that goes on. So there's all the information about the crab snake. The jelly shroom. That's what I need. I need to get a jelly shroom for him to be comfortable. In all honesty, I'm not going to bother because he's just going to get fed into my power machine because I am evil. So we'll just go back in the containment unit and drop that new egg to hatch. There we are. I've no idea what that is, but I suspect it's a stalker egg. But we'll find out when it hatches. So there we are, crab snake roaming around. I'll let you live for now, crab snake, but if you start eating my Reginalds, you are going to get turned into electricity. So there we are. That is my 3-story aquarium, which is quite cool. The upper floors are all glass because why the hell not? And I will say this, you need a lot of quartz in this game. You'll find the quartz in various biomes, but you go through it at such a rate and you need so much of it to do what I'm doing here because each of these windows takes 1 glass, which is 2 quartz. So you rapidly burn through your quartz collection. It's quite crazy. So there we go. That's my main base of operations. So desalinization plant, so I have a constant supply of clean filtered water. Power in the form of 2 bioreactors and solar cells all over the roof. I have a scanning room again because I love my scanning rooms, they're really useful. A moon pool for my sea moth, a moon pool for my prawn suit, and here is my garden. Minus, for some reason, an acid mushroom. There we are. So whenever I go out exploring, I come back with some of the unique plants from each of the biomes and I plant them here. Some of these are useful, some of them are not. Membrane trees, violet bows, redwoods. As a general rule, these don't seem to have a lot of use that I've found yet, the regress shell. The sea crown is listed in the databanks as on the verge of extinction, so I thought, what the hell, I'll be all, friends of the earth and start propagating those. Spotted dock leaves, writhing reeds, pygmy bulb bushes. These guys are really handy. Gel sacks are used in some rather important advanced materials. So as soon as I found one of those, I started growing those like crazy. These just look pretty. I don't know what they're for, they just look pretty. Bloodvine, again, another high-level crafting material that you'll need later on. Ghostweed, no idea what that's for. Creepvine, that's the name of it, Creepvine. Right, Creepvine, this is the one that obviously glows incredibly bright. In fact, when it's near your base in concentration like this, I think it might be too bright because that actually hurts my eyes. Great for marking out areas so that you can see them from a distance, and really handy in low light conditions to give you an area that you can hide in and cower like a child instead of freaking yourself out. So there you go, Joe. There's my base. That's what I've built here. What we can do you know, I want a mushroom for my crab snake. So we're going to take the sea moth because taking the Cyclops would be overkill. We're going to take the sea moth to go get my pet crab snake a mushroom. And we're going to just change the colour on this because I don't think that green is quite right somehow. Really, really easy to use paint system for the vehicles. So good. I will say though, you don't want things to be too dark because you will not find them if you don't turn the headlights on. You need the, they all have a beacon which tells you where they are if you're a certain distance away from them, but when you get close, that beacon deactivates on your HUD. And I've wandered around in circles because I've lost track of where I am and I've lost my prawn suit or something silly like that. Yeah, that cave system down there is a dead end. It leads to nothing. It just leads you back out. You generally find the rarer materials in the caves. But you also find these annoying fish called crash fish, which literally just blow up. They are insane and painful. Yo, Luda, how you doing, sir? Wouldn't that be awesome if they added something like this to Eve? Planetary landings in Eve, huh? Bugger off, you angry stalker, you. You can also temporarily tame some of the more aggressive fish, which is really good fun because you can give them, if you offer them food, they'll take the food and then they'll like go off and find things for you and bring them to you like some sort of random little pet. It's quite funny. Do you know what? We're going to go down into the mushroom forest just to let people have a look at the mushroom forest. And yes, I am the kind of noob who has to leave beacons everywhere to remind himself where everything is, because I get lost a lot. And here is the mushroom forest. How cool is this? Like I said, this game has different biomes as you progress through it. Some of them safer than others. This one is relatively safe, but these crab snake guys do not like to be bothered, so I tend to stay away from them. And yes, you did hear that roar in the background, just designed to scare the dickens out of you. Volcanic vent there, so if you decide to build a base down here, you do have the option to use geothermal energy if you have the if you researched the technology or discovered the technology, or rediscovered, I should say. You can actually build a geothermal plant to provide power in your base, which is a great option. Oh, yeah, I heard that. Didn't like that at all. This game really plays with your anxiety. So the geothermal bases are really handy for deep bases that don't have any sunlight or have very little sunlight. I find I build them wherever I find a heat source. And as you can see from the the planters with the creep vine in it, I've already been down here because those are my little map markers when I can't be bothered building a beacon. Here's the rest of the abandoned base. Is that? Oh, did I not scan that when I was last here? Ooh, nuclear power plant fragments. Yes. So there's story stuff happening down here, which I'm not going to spoil. But I'm going to get a couple of jelly shroom seeds. We're going to give that to our crab snake. I don't think there's anything else down there. Oh, I want some of this because I don't have any of this planted yet. You want some? Oh no, I'm full. Right, let's make some space. Try that again. No, why? Oh, you can't get. Oh, I bet it's a 4. Can I get this? Yes, I can. There we go. A fueled papyrus seed. Right, there's my sea moth. I'm sure I painted that yellow. Didn't I paint this yellow before I came down here? It's changed colour on me. So yeah, still a few little. Oh no, wait, that's. You know, I did paint this yellow. Damn it. It's changed colours. Right. So there doesn't seem to be much else around here. So we will head on back to the surface now that we have the mushroom I need for my pet crab snake, who I'm going to call John. Again, you could build a base down here. There's no limitation on where you can build your habitats. You can literally just drop down and as long as you've got the raw materials, you can build a habitat anywhere. I haven't built a base down here yet because I don't really need... sorry, dude. I don't really need one yet. There we go. No, nothing there. I swear though, the noises this game makes just terrifies you sometimes. I think they call it thalassophobia, is it? Fear of the unknown? Like, is it fear of the abyss or something like that? Don't think there's anything here. I think I've got everything there. Yeah. So we'll keep finding. This is where it gets good. This is why I have beacons everywhere, right? Because you're floating around like this. You get lost, you forget where you are, and oh no, I'm trapped. Oh, how am I supposed to get out? Oh, I'm doomed. Yeah, you are literally trapped. You're going to drown. It's like, how do I get out of here? So yeah, I just leave beacons everywhere so I can never get lost. Because I am a massive coward. I don't even think I've fully explored these caves, to be honest. I've been all over them, but they seem to go on for ages. So there we are. Those are the jelly shroom fields. So we'll head back to the surface. We've got the seeds that I wanted, so we can expand our plants collection back at home base. It's not quite the Death Star trench run, but it's still pretty cool. There we go. And we're back up. And that's not even particularly deep. That's not even that far down. What? What? Oh, no. Oh, the game's doing weird rendery things. I can't see. There it is. Yeah. Okay, my other sea moth is parked here. That's why it won't let me dock. Boo. Fine. Just leave it floating here. Oh, no, it's yellow again. Okay. Maybe that was just a trick of the light down there then. I don't know. Right, I'll leave you floating there for a minute. Again, this is another one of my little outposts. Moon pool, battery chargers. One can never have too many battery chargers. And again, this one runs I think this one runs entirely off electricity provided by solar cells because it's quite near the surface again. I do have a bioreactor here, but it very rarely gets drawn on because you just get so much power from from the solar cells this close to the surface. D2. Diablo 2? Oh, Destiny 2. I keep forgetting. D2 is so many games, dude. Destiny 2. Sorry. Ah, dear. Yeah, I haven't picked it up yet. Still tempted. You'll have to let me know how that plays. I'll leave that on there. I don't need that. Right. You'll have to let me know what that's like on PC because I was quite interested in having a look at that myself. And it would be fun joining you. I know I'm old school. What do you expect? I'm 40. Give me a break. Right, so let's go and put this in our alien containment tank for our crab snake. Ooh, we're going to breach. We're going to breach. Yes, the sea moth can jump. We need these in real life. These cute little one-man submarines. I love them. I want one of these. Hello, annoying poison things. So glad it's got headlights. Can it fit down here? Oops, yes it can, but that's a volcano. Don't want to go down there, I will get cooked. Alright, you don't need to roar at me. I'm not going to steal your precious metal. Ow! Don't ram my bloody Seamoth. Okay, ram my Seamoth. Stalkers are quite aggressive, but they're not very strong. So you usually alright. Unless you're out there in your skin suit. In which case they will have a chunk of you if they can get away with it. So there you go, Joseph. There is my Cyclops. The Ulysses. Built entirely in survival mode. And believe me, that took some doing. You have to locate 9 separate fragments to scan, and they're all in different areas of the map, and some of them are in quite deep water, which is surrounded by some quite hefty predators. So yeah, it can be interesting going down and finding all of the parts you need to complete your Cyclops. There's another cave. This is the cave system I built my base on top of, and I'm telling you now, first time I came down here, oh, claustrophobia. You what? You oof. Makes you twitch. Lots of eggs down here. Lots of eggs. So there we go. We will head back to the surface. We will plant our jelly mushroom and see if the crab snake will actually... Because the thing with the crab snakes is they live... Oops. Yeah, that was clever. Is it any wonder I'm not driving yet? There we go. The crab snakes actually live in the jellies, so if you plant one of them, I'm wondering if it will actually use it. Anyway, we'll dock up. Bong.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Thank you, dear. And let's go put our jelly in our giant fish tank of alien monsters. Oh, dear. Do you know what I did? Do you know what I did? I'm an idiot. I left it aboard my ugly Seamoth. There it is. And then I fell out of my base. There we are. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. There it is. So that will start growing now. So there's my crab snake and my jelly ray. Quite cute. Oh, right. Excuse me a second, ladies and germs. That's the wife being lazy and ringing me rather than bothering to come downstairs. She's terrible for it. Hey, Miss SMX. Miss MSX, thank you. Yes, there is a distinct possibility that you can get eaten by something large and gribbly in this game. I've met a few large and gribblies, and they are terrifying. Yay, water! Are you making another one, or is that just... Oh no, you're animating. There we go. So, have I got any titanium on me? Yes, I do. Good. We'll grow you out here. There we are. I'm going to have to plant another bed specifically for the furled stuff. But there we go. I don't think I've done too badly with my little outpost here. I'm quite pleased with it, to be honest. I could replace one of these power plants with a nuclear reactor, but that might be slightly overkill given that I don't actually use that much power as it stands at the moment. In fact, my main power drain is charging up the power cells for the Cyclops. So there we go. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. A quick view of Subnautica. As I said, I'm just making a quick video that I'm going to upload to YouTube for Joseph to have a look at, just to show him what can really be done if you play the game properly. Yes, that is a challenge, Joseph. I'm throwing down the gauntlet. Stop being a slacker and get in there. Obviously, I don't want to spoil any of the story section of the game, so I didn't go anywhere particularly revealing. But this is fairly deep into the game. I've scanned a lot of the advanced technologies to get things like this aquarium and the alien containment and the Cyclops and the prawn suit. You have to go fairly far, not massively far, but you have to progress the story fairly far to get access to those things. But there we are. And yes, you can swim in the alien containment because, it's my fish tank. I'll swim in it if I want to. There we go. Right, so unfortunately that's all I'm going to be able to film right now because the wife wants me to go and do things. I'm definitely going to have to repaint that. I cannot be doing with a bright yellow. I didn't realise just how ugly that looks. That's better. Definitely wants to be green now, doesn't it? The stripe I'll leave as yellow. There we are. Yes, so I have some jobs to do today, so I'm going to have to call the video there. I'll get this uploaded to YouTube so Joe can have a look at it. Thank you for coming by and watching my little Subnautica tour, just showing off my bases and how far I've got so far and some of the stuff the game can do. Again, I mean, if this is something that you think catches your interest, it is on Steam on sale at the moment, and I have to say it's probably worth the 15 quid price. It is a lot of fun. But it will trigger every anxiety you have. If you have any fear of the dark, any fear of drowning, any fear of large things with gribbly teeth that bite, this game has them all, and it tends to throw them at you at the same time. So it will probably trigger every anxiety you have at the same time. So there we are. Subnautica, ladies and gentlemen. One of the more interesting survival games I've played in a long time. So, thank you for watching. Take care. This is Commander Girl signing off for the time being. Bye now.